Hello, I'm Bob Seitz. I'm the city manager for East Dubuque. We wanted to go through some of the issues that have come up from a lot of our citizens regarding property tax bills that came out recently and TIF and what TIF means, how it works, and what it means on your tax bill. So I'll start out with the TIF program. TIF stands for Tax Incremental Financing. What it means is that back in 2007, the city of East Dubuque established a TIF, which sets aside money for development purposes, infrastructure development, things like that. What they did was set a baseline so that the taxes that were charged essentially in after 2007 would be the taxes that would be charged all the way through 2030, which is the 23-year life of a tax incremental finance district. Everything, so the city, the school, the library, all the taxing districts agreed to have their taxes capped for 23 years and have the growth come into a pot of money that would be used for the purpose of increasing the value of the property in the city of East Dubuque. And that would lead to investments for business growth. Business growth increases tax revenue. So we have more people paying more money into the property tax pot. That helps everybody. Also infrastructure, we use it for flood control, water, sewer, roads, and beautification. We do a facade program on the main business district to improve the property values there, increase development and investment in the city, again, helping all the taxpayers. And our emergency services building takes some of our revenue from the TIF, and that allows us to offset bonding so we don't have to borrow as much money, and that saves taxpayers money going forward. The way the TIF is funded, the growth in the value of property over the life of the TIF goes into a pot, so the city, school district, and everybody continues to receive the money they were receiving. But if your home exceeds the value that it had in about 2008, then the money for that increase goes into this TIF pot. At the end of the TIF cycle, after 2030, the money goes to the schools, county, library, city, all those taxing units. So that's the idea of the TIF. We go on to our property tax. This is the property tax. These are the property taxes for the city of East Dubuque. All the items that we charge property taxes for, and the bottom line. This is from 2023, so a year ago. The city's property tax for the whole city was $418,867. That's what goes to the city outside of the TIF. In 2024, the city lowered property taxes by 5%. That means that the revenue that we took, the fairest, most honest way to cut property taxes is to reduce the property tax levy. That means you take less money from the ratepayers into the city government. So it was $418,000. Here we took it down to $398,000. That's about a $20,000 reduction, 5%. It's not a lot of money, but it is lowering of property taxes for city residents, just on the city portion. This is an actual tax bill within the city of East Dubuque. We've blacked out the identifying information, but it's an actual home in the flats. This is from 2008. If you look at this tax bill, you'll see all the different taxing units and how much they taxed. And then over here, the EAV. EAV is the equalized assessed value for the home. So in this case, in 2008, this home had an $18,045 value and paid property taxes of $861. If we flash forward to 2023, the equalized assessed value for this home was $16,216. So actually from 2008 to 2023, the assessed valuation of that property went down. If we go back to the TIF, that means that this property started out here and then it went down. So all of the taxes attributable to that home still went to the school, the city, the county, library, and all those units. None of that money went to the TIF. So if we go forward again to 2024, this is the most recent bill. And on this bill, this particular property, the equalized assessed value now, instead of $16,000, went up to $34,074. At $34,000, that's more than doubling of the assessed value. So remember, every dollar of tax revenue that comes in, basically, above the original value when the TIF started, which was about $18,000, all that tax revenue goes into the TIF. So if you look at this person's property tax bill, we see a couple things. One, the city of East Dubuque's property taxes went down. So we had a tax rate of 1.15 per thousand, and it raised about $1.18. Now it's $1.15. So a small reduction, but a reduction of a couple bucks. But this person then looks at their tax bill and they see that not only has their tax bill gone from $786 to $1,993, but basically all of that increase showed up under TIF. So a person says, well, why would my property taxes all be going into the TIF? And now the TIF is the greater share of this person's property taxes. The bottom line is that this person's property taxes ended up being the same. If the TIF had gone away in between those years, this person's property taxes would have been the same, because the property taxes are figured by the value of the home times the mill rate, which is the rate per $1,000. So what we do is we take this tax rate, we move the decimal point over a couple places, multiply it times the taxable value, which is a little different from the EAV, and we get the person's tax bill, $1,993.80 in this case. That would be their tax bill, whether there was a TIF or not, because it would either have been, going back up to the original, they would either be paying for this increased value on their home as property value to the local governments or to the TIF. But the tax rate would remain the same. So it's not the TIF that's increasing people's property taxes. What's happening is the valuation of homes is increasing, and because we had a reevaluation, reassessment this past year, many people's homes saw a large increase in valuation. To talk about that, you'd have to talk to the county. That's a subject for a different topic. We don't assess the properties in the city of East Dubuque. If you look over here, most of the tax dollars stayed pretty close to what they had been the year before, but everything went into this one. Ours went down, the roads went down a couple bucks, and everybody else went up a bit. So the point I'd like to make, I know that it's difficult on folks when you see a big property tax increase. And we have nothing but compassion for people who are dealing with increased costs. We know that's hard, and we know that understanding why it happened doesn't help you pay the bill. But understanding why it happened is still important, because you can go to the local levels of government and see why and how things are happening and understand them a bit better. So I just want to bring some understanding to you of what's going on. The TIF did not increase your taxes this year. The city of East Dubuque is doing everything it can to balance its own budget. We've done that. And in the meantime, we are cutting taxes as we're able. So we want to make East Dubuque both better, bring more development in, more investment in, but we also want to make it an easier place to live and a place where you can afford to live and pay your property taxes. So that's, I hope this is a good explanation for folks, and we're happy down at City Hall to answer any further questions. Thank you.